Hi and welcome to Back to the Tactics board with Edge of Play. In today's video we're looking at the 2-3-3 formation in 9-a-side, and we'll look at some of the features and some of the challenges you may face in this formation. Here the players are in the 2-3-3 formation. Let's look at the features first of all. You have the three up front. Gets you on the front foot, it's very attacking. You've got the left, right and centre covered, so lots of width, making the pitch nice and big. So you could really put a team on the back foot, get at them and make it hard for them to get out. Behind that you can have a compact midfield three who can work across the pitch, stay together and make it hard to play through them. Having that midfield three supporting this wide attacking forward line, it means this formation does lend to attacking quickly, to fast attacks, direct play at times perhaps, but also just countering to win the ball back in these deeper areas, get the ball wide, forward early and get at teams. It can also be useful for pressing too, because you've obviously got your wingers there who can put pressure on either side, be responsible for that area of the pitch, and they can be backed up by one of the midfield three who could go in there and support with the striker. So you can have a pressing unit on this side, and then equally as it goes the other way, a pressing unit between the three players here. As that's happening, you would want your other midfielder to tuck in with your number 4, with your defensive midfielder, to release that player to go and put pressure on the ball. You know, having two at the back, you can be exposed. If you make it hard for an opponent to get at you, if you defend from the front, then you can make it hard for an opponent to make the most of you having just two defenders. So you can look to get on the front foot, press high as well and not let a team out. And if they can't get out, they can't expose the fact you only have two defenders. There's a lot to be said for getting momentum in a game. Get on the front foot, take some risk. The opposition can't get out. They might feel off if they just get the ball here, but if the pressure on the ball is right and the defenders are strong in their positioning, then you can actually make it very hard for a team to capitalise on the numbers they may have in these forward areas. That would then lead to those players going deeper and deeper, and you can get a team pushed back and almost force them to be more defensive. A bit like in the 2-3-2-1, but with the main difference being that instead of being in this area here, these players are pushed on as genuine out-and-out wingers. I like the fact you can try and manipulate these little spaces, these half spaces, a bit further up really, in these areas here, which are very hard to track for an opponent. I like the idea that if you can get the ball forward and it can be retained and it can stick, or you can build from the back and get to a situation where you're 5 and you're 6, perhaps one at a time I'd say, because you believe in a lot of space if they both did it. But if one player's getting into that area, your winger might be on the ball, they've got that nice little link up for a 1-2 in there to make a run in behind the back line. So getting in that little pocket of space for number 5 and number 6, getting in this little pocket of space, linking up with your winger, making it very difficult for an opponent to know who needs to be responsible for that player. I think that could be a really effective part of this formation. I've mentioned it in other videos, but your zone 14 area, the area in front of a defence, that area in front of a defence and behind an opposition midfield can be a great area to exploit, but it often gets shut down now by a deep midfielder. So if you can get your players in these little spaces either side, your 5 and 6, that can be a great route to releasing your wingers with good through balls. Having that compact central midfield can be a real bonus as well, as long as they work together and as 5 goes across, 6 tucks in with 4. That little unit can work really well together and try and shut down the spaces behind the forward line. An opposition may well have 3 up front. They may be sometimes outnumbering your defence. If these players in midfield are able to shut down the ball forward to those players, make it very difficult to get a good pass into those spaces, then you can actually make the effect of the overload they have negligible. I think when building from the back, this system can be really effective because your defensive midfielder can drop into the middle here. So your deep midfielder can offer for the keeper from the central area. You've got your defenders either side, and then you've got these nice little areas to play into for your 5 and 6. So you have got that W shape to shift the ball across if you need to. And then beyond that, you've got the more advanced position of your wingers, high and wide. So you'd like to think from that you're giving yourself good options to get the ball across the pitch and then up the pitch. So you should be able to build in this system quite well in those initial phases. Of course, if you have the 3 dropping in here though, that can bring a team onto you. So you may be building possession, you're losing it too often, you're not getting in behind. And that's where the movement's there of your players to make these big runs in behind, dragging a team away from you, giving the space in here. But that's when the gaps open up as well. So if the gaps open up, it might be a case of sometimes you're going direct and then your midfielder looking to get up and support behind that. So you're either playing direct because you have those three up front, and that'll be a tempting option quite a lot. But it might be then you stop, retain, turn around, work the ball. You've got your W shape again, you've got your triangles, you've got this central diamond here when your striker drops in. So you've got all the shapes to kind of either attack quickly and be direct, or equally to build possession and play in an opposition half. Let's look at some of the challenges in this formation then. Well, first of all, you have two defenders, and having two defenders on a big pitch in relative terms, expecting them to cover a lot of ground is a risk. So you need these defenders to be strong, good at reading the game. I would expect them to be mobile and quick across the ground, because they've got a lot of ground to cover before a support is going to arrive to help them. The midfield will need to be really disciplined in this system. If one midfielder has gone to support the player, the other player will need to sit in and help out, because you're going to have times where you'll be exposed in these wide areas. When that happens, you're either looking at your midfielder may have to go into that space. Even if both are in, it could be the midfielder gets in to do the work. It could be that your 4 drops in, 2 gets across there, and the defence can shivvy across, in which case your 5 and 6 will need to be in that midfield space. Even then, unless your attacking mids are getting in, a ball that's played in and out the other way could cause this team problems. Because you're asking this midfield to be quite compact in defensive situations, when you regain possession, one of your issues you may have is the gap between your midfield unit and your forward unit. If that gap's too big and the distance of passes you've been expected to do is too great, teams are intercepting them and reading them, you could end up with a situation where you have very much a back 5 working at defensive work, and then 3 and then a huge gap between them. So closing those gaps, players get into that space between here and here to make it a more of a viable passing option and link up will be really important. If that's not happening, it's not just your forward line. It can even be that when the ball's played into your striker, if your wingers are both wide and there isn't anything, if there's no one to play the ball back to you for your striker can actually get isolated in this formation. Are you expecting the winger sometimes to come in to link up, but then you lose your width? Are you expecting one of your mids to keep getting to this space for a setback pass, which can then be played out into the wing? Because of this, I'd expect your forward would need to be quite strong, holding up possession and allowing players to get forward, allowing that time for your midfield to get forward and support. Once that layoff has happened, that's when you start to really feel the benefits in this formation, because then you've got those 3 players ahead of the ball. You need clear defensive duties, I'd say, in this system for your wide players. If they just stand up front, you're putting a lot of pressure on your midfield 3. Your 5 and 6 then have a great deal of work to do to get into here sometimes to support the defence and your defensive midfielder. So I'd be expecting your wingers to have to work back to at least get into a shape to cut it down in there. So you're almost like a 5 in midfield at times when you're not pressing or when a press hasn't worked. If they're not putting that work in, then the gaps really are quite large, and it only takes one switch of play and this unit may have shifted across, one switch of play and a team would be in. I think a key aspect to making this system work will be your midfielders, your side midfielders, their ability to do the defensive work, to work as a unit. So when one player is attacking or is pressing, the other player tucking in, I think that'll be crucial. But also the ability to get forward at the right moments to support your forward 3 and link up the play and close the gaps that could get too large otherwise. I'd say, looking at this system in terms of relating this to 11 aside, it very much can feel like a 3-4-3 with your 3 forwards, the way they might work in a 3-4-3, and the idea of your 5 and your 6 in this almost being like a wing back at times, and that they're having to get back in and defend in here and then get forward, but that inverted fullback that you get in the Pep Guardiola side. So that's why I could also see it being a 4-3-3 with your out and out forward line and your side midfielders trying to get into those areas, your De Bruynes and your Silvas in an attacking sense. But because you haven't got the full-backs at neither side, obviously, in these big areas here, they've got extra defensive duties, which can almost make it feel like that 3-4-3, where they're the side midfielders, really, wing-backs, if you like, up and down the pitch. Thank you for watching this formation video. I do hope you found it useful. For more videos for 5-a-side, 7-a-side, 9-a-side and 11-a-side formations, go to the tactics section at www.edgeofplay.com.